Hey y'all, my name is Nat. I hope you're having a terrific day today, and for this video we are going to be doing a 24-hour readathon vlog. Before we get to anything bookish, however, make sure to hit like and subscribe down below, as well as tell me in the comments what was the last book that you blasted through in no time. Unfortunately, I have just not been working through my TBR as quickly as I was hoping I would. This is doubly disappointing since my August was so fantastic of a reading month, but it actually worked out really great because I have time to do a 24-hour readathon. I'm actually going to be trying out that timer method. So you start a timer for 24 hours and you only have it running when you're reading. So that ensures I actually do read for 24 hours. I'm gonna start it tonight and continue into Sunday. As for the TBR for this video, I have high expectations. She's a chunky one. I will say though, this is a little misleading. Let me talk you through everything. So starting out is Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. I'm reading this for the Pages and Color book club, which chooses a book for every quarter. With that, I actually went through and segmented out the book once I bought it. So I only have to read a certain number of pages every single week in order to finish it once the discussion hit. I could have read this all in like one go, but honestly, given the fact that I'm partaking in a discussion at the end of October, early November, I thought it just might be easier for me to actually remember everything if I'm reading it slowly and annotating leading right into that discussion. That means in reality, I'm only going to be reading 60 pages of this. That's it. That's just my allotment for the week. After that, I would love to get Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph Whiteread. This is a YA horror dystopian, and I think the fact that it's doing a horror angle will mean I enjoy the dystopian element more, because usually that's just not something I care about. But I know this is following a young trans boy who is on the run from a cult which actually put a biochemical weapon into his body. Pretty cool. Pretty excited for it. This comes out to 398 pages. After that one, I have another which requires further explanation, which is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Cordova. Technically, I'm actually like roughly about halfway into this book. I was listening to the audiobook on Scribd, but it would recurringly cut out like a paragraph every single chapter. And initially I was just ignoring it, gonna continue hoping it didn't really take that much away from the story. But by this halfway point I'm at, it did it so often that I do feel like it is inhibiting my enjoyment. So I'm gonna go back and reread it physically. Seeing as how I have already kind of read the first half of this book, I should work through it fairly quickly, but also with reading it physically instead of on audio, I can go through and annotate it because there have been some lines that I really enjoy. This comes out to 322 pages. Then, as for a audiobook, I'm probably gonna be picking up Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is the pick for the book club I do with a few friends in my personal life. I know it's like an age gap romance where this woman gets trapped in like this small town and she falls for the really young mayor. I don't know why that's something that I've really hooked on, is the fact that he's 28 and the mayor of this town just gives me mad Ben Wyatt vibes. It's a romance, and as I said, this is probably going to be the audiobook I will pick up. I'll probably work through this really quickly. In terms of physical book page count though, 372 pages. I have not read anything from this author, but this book has been getting a lot of praise lately, so I do have fairly high expectations, and my best friend who is in this book club with me loves this author's previous work. Hopefully I'll enjoy it. Those are the novel specifics, but in terms of like kind of keeping myself going, given a little bit of a palette cleanser, I have two books for that. First is SpiderGwen Bind Up 2 by Jason Latour, illustrated by Robbie Rodriguez. I genuinely don't even think this one has a name because it's a hardback bind up, so it's bigger than the traditional paperback bind up. It actually has 8 issues in comparison to the usual 6. Seeing as how it's a comic book, I'll probably work through this really quickly. And then I also have manga, Soul Eater Volume 1 by 𝗖cie když_𝘁_𝘁. I recently picked this up. Soul Eater is my favorite anime ever. I've rewatched it 3 times. Really been wanting to try out the manga because I know the story continues after the anime ends. Plus, this obviously kind of has some spooky vibes going on. Perfect for this time of year. Officially getting me into the creepy crawly season. Again, clearly I'll work through that really fast. So already this is kind of an ambitious TBR. It's totally possible I could pick up another book if I'm crazy. I think for tonight, I'm gonna start with Kingdom of Souls so I can just knock out that 60 pages. Pretty easy. Feel successful right out of the gate pretty simply. I've also been annotating this as we've been going and I've been having a good time with it. I definitely get similar feels between the main character and her best friend, Shang and Katie from Shang-Chi, so I'm loving that. Also, the magic system's just really cool. It's very reminiscent to Children of Blood and Bone because it is based in Yoruba religion. The orishas are definitely talked about in a very different way. Gonna get started on this readathon. Let's go. Hey guys, it's 11 o'clock and I'm getting a little tired, but at least I finished out the 60 pages for Kingdom of Souls. So currently I'm at 179. We're finally really getting into the actual meat of the story. Prior to this point, it was very much more focused on establishing the world, showcasing the different magic systems, explaining how the different politics work in this country and like the different portions of the country. Main city where she lives, magic is less common. It's more likely to be utilized in a sort of bastardized way where these charlatans who don't actually have magic in their body are trading years off their lives so that they can use magic, but it's a very unreliable system. No matter what kind of spell you're doing, you could lose a minute of your life or you could literally lose 30 years. It's not really an easy system to understand. That's why it's very dangerous. But apart from the charlatans who will use magic, and that way, whenever you're within the city, anybody else who has magic, it's usually in some sort of a political alignment. Our main character's mom is actually probably the person who is most powerful when it comes to magic in the city because she's actually the priestess to they call him the Almighty One, but basically he's the king. Mom is very, very strong, and our main character does not have magic. She does not like this. She has been wanting to have it for years and has been waiting for it to finally answer her call, but that's never happened. Now children are starting to disappear in the area, and when a friend of hers actually ends up disappearing, she finally is throwing herself into trying to figure out what's happening. But of course, she doesn't have her own magic, and that's gonna make things more complicated because it could possibly be a demon who is taking these children. I am liking this. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, a lot of world building at the beginning, establishing of characters, which is why I have so many annotations at the start. I'm getting really into the story and I'm much more invested in the plot. Thus far, I definitely have to say, this is reminding me of the Sands of Aralia duology. Like, it's really slow, it's taking its time and really crafting the whole world and all the characters. It does have this very cool plot going on also. I know I said that for an audiobook, I was gonna listen to part of your world, but I am technically already in the middle of a different audiobook for another video, and that was the Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. I was really close to the halfway point, so I decided to just go ahead and try to listen to the audiobook until I hit the halfway point. So now I kind of have to stop anyway since I need to film an update for that. I'm not gonna do it tonight. I probably will do it later this week. I won't be reading any more of this. This is a horror book. This is a horror book and it's really freaking weird. You're following a family, a mom, a dad, and their child. Each of them is experiencing all of these strange paranormal things after having moved into the father's childhood home. It's got like a haunted house vibe going on, while at the same time possibly a dead serial killer haunting them, and then also this kid who is weirdly inserting himself into their lives, and he definitely feels like a JD wannabe from Heathers. I have no idea how I'm feeling about this book. It's weird, but like my intrigue is also through the roof. I have no idea where this is gonna go though. That's all I'm gonna talk about for that one for the rest of this video. So now I think I am actually gonna start into the Inheritance of Orquídea Divina because, like I said, I think I can get through at least the first half of this pretty quickly since I'm basically rereading it.
So yes, it's about 10 o'clock. I stayed up until about 2:30 last night and I got to 117, An Inheritance of Orchidia Divina, and I also started on the audiobook for Part of Your World, 35 pages in. Yeah, I made some good progress last night. I stayed up until like 2:30 and I was planning to stay up later, but I started getting a headache, so I went to sleep. This morning, I woke up at one point, still had the headache, so I went back to sleep. Now I've slept for like a solid 8 hours and I still kind of have a headache, so it might just be due to my period. Oh well, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna drink some coffee, hopefully have some breakfast, get back into reading, and take an Advil. Let's keep this show rolling.
Hey y'all, so it's been a hot minute. I currently have about this much time left. It is almost 4 o'clock on Sunday. I actually just finished Part of Your World by 𝗖cieः𝘁𝘁. I got really sucked into the audiobook and just ended up continuously playing different games on my phone so I could finish it. This is my first 𝗖cieः𝘁𝘁's book, and I will say it won't be my last. I did have a lot of fun with this. It was very funny. I laughed out loud many a times. I think she does humor pretty well. Conflict, not my fave. So much lack of communication. Withholding of things that I feel like are important for your partner to know. And it really drove me crazy. Apart from that, I did have a good time. I think both of our main characters had pretty good chemistry. I liked the differences in their lives that were obviously causing conflict. And I thought that was kind of interesting. It's just not something I've really read in a romance book in this sort of scenario. Also, it was age gap. I wasn't a big fan in the way the age gap was handled because she would consistently say that he was such a kid, he was so young. She actually at one point asks if she's age appropriate to be considered a cougar. I mean, like, I'm not one of those that says age is just a number, baby. I think maturity level is definitely very important in a relationship, but these two definitely had same maturity level. They worked out really well. There was never any glaring issues about the difference in their age. Not to mention that there was like a point where she called him a kid, and it just so easily took me out of the story. It was like, don't say that about this man that you were sleeping with. That is weird. I will say there were some more serious topics in this than I really knew about going in. Definitely abusive relationships are kind of a big point of discussion. Not only our female main character's past relationship, but also a familial toxic relationship, and then we see a abusive relationship in a side character as well. So I think across the board that was just very prominent of a theme. A little disappointed that the next book in this series, which of course it's gonna be a companion series, isn't following the best friend of both of these characters. I really liked Doug, who was our male main character's best friend, and then Bree, who was our female main character's best friend. But apparently, even though there's this funny line right at the end, they're not going to be the next couple. It is focusing on Bree, but with some other doctor guy. But I did enjoy this enough to go request the arc of the second book from NetGalley. I think it comes out in like April, so fingers crossed I can get my hands on that. Anyway, so yes, I finished out one book at least. That's something. On the opposite side, I've also read a little bit further into Inheritance of Orchidia Divina. Like I said this morning, I ended up kind of getting a headache last night and had to put it down, but I was really wanting to try and hit the halfway point in this. I actually did hit the halfway point before I stopped earlier. I am still really enjoying this as well. It's just kind of hard to talk about. Super slow moving. It's really character driven. There is not a lot of plot going on. The writing is very whimsical. The atmosphere is almost sort of fairy tale. Like you're staying in this magical house that's in this valley in the country. It just feels like something out of a fairy tale sort of story. I saw somebody comment that this definitely has Encanto vibes, and I agree. I do agree. Familial trauma, definitely a discussion. Trauma Orchidia has experienced in her life, which we see in flashbacks, has definitely impacted her relationship with her kids and now her grandkids. Weirdly, like now her grandkids are starting to experience not traumatic things, but like stuff that came about because of Orchidia's trauma. It's really interesting. It doesn't read like a fantasy book, but it does have magical realism. However, it also just feels so incredibly grounded in real life. It's very strange. I really enjoyed that though. The writing is very beautiful. I've had many tabs. That's updates in terms of reading. For now, honestly, I think I'm gonna put a pause on the timer and go take a shower. I need one. I feel a little grody. I think when I get out, I'm gonna read SpiderGwen to kind of just reinvigorate myself by finishing another book, seeing as how technically speaking, I've only really finished one book so far. And I'll get through this really quickly, so hopefully that'll give me a push to work through the rest of Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. That's the hope. And then I would love to pick up Hell Followed With Us next. I also could definitely pick up another audiobook. If I did that, I think I would end up picking up Beard and Hiding by Penny Reed, which is like 4.5, I think. And it goes off the previous couple, which was kind of established in 3.5, which was like a little short story, because it's Penny Reed. And of course, I will work through that in no time. I also know that one's a little bit shorter too. Also, this definitely is going to get rolled over into Monday. That'll be interesting to work around in terms of my job. One thing that is positive is I'm really ahead right now in terms of filming and editing. So thankfully, once I get off work, I should have the time to just sit down and read. Hey friends, we have this much time left now. I finished out SpiderGwen. This was a lot more all over the place than the previous bind up. This just felt really disconnected. Every single issue seemed like it was tackling a whole other thing. It was kind of hard to follow at times. With that being said, I absolutely love the Halloween issue with this, where we are following Gwen with all her friends going out trick-or-treating, and then they end up going to Mysterio's carnival. It's so hilarious. It was great. I really enjoyed that. Then this also has Wolverine Annual #1, where Gwen and the newest Wolverine, Laura, actually switch bodies. That was a lot of fun as well, particularly in the manner that they were not used to the other person's powers, because these two have never had a need to interact prior to this event. On one hand, I had some issues with this, but there were some things that I really enjoyed. Also, the art style felt a lot more disjointed this time around. It felt like it changed a lot. Don't know what was happening there, because technically speaking, it was the same illustrator for most of the comics. There would be like random shifts in style midway through an issue, and it just did not work for me. Did not enjoy that. That was 264 pages. After that, I ended up continuing into Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. I am now at 200 pages. I'm still enjoying this. It's just really hard to talk about this book. In the beginning, my two favorites were definitely Orquídea herself and then Marimar, who was one of the granddaughters we were following. Now, I will say there's been some further exploration of Ray, the male grandchild we're following. I'm starting to get more and more intrigued by him. He definitely has kind of a obsessive personality, but also really clearly wants to find a place for himself. I like him, but also I don't. Kind of an asshole at the same time. And then we have the third grandchild we're following, which is Tatanelli. She's fine. Like, I don't really feel particularly strong about her. We also weirdly see from her husband for a short amount of time, who he just thinks that they're all kind of crazy for believing this magic. I'm not here for that negativity, Mike. I'm gonna continue working on this. I actually think I may try and listen to the audiobook whilst reading it physically. It's just ignore this coffee that I need to take to the office tomorrow. Hi, it's about 9:30. I have this much time left in the readathon, and I just finished out Inheritance of Orquídea Divina. Wow is all I really have to say. Wow, this was really good. I can't believe it took me so long to read this, but I really enjoyed it. Very character driven in the first half, and then at the second half, you actually get this sort of fantastical, whimsical mystery with this very beautifully disturbing imagery. And the ending, I'll admit, did not see those reveals coming. I definitely gasped, and the finale was heart-wrenching. I really enjoyed this one. So glad I ended up rereading this physically, because I had
many a tabs. Writing was absolutely beautiful. The familial dynamics in this book were so stinking good. The discussion around trauma, it was amazing. It was so good. Like, I definitely have to check out more of this author's work. I think she has some YA series as well, which I bet those would be kind of fun, particularly with this sort of a writing style. Sounds right up my alley. I know I said I was gonna pick up Hell Followed With Us, but I think instead I'm gonna try and finish out an arc that I've been reading, which is Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle. I was really enjoying this, but I did kind of put it on pause for this readathon since I'm actually reading it for a different video. I think I have about like 30% left, and it's all reading on my phone, so I could probably get through it pretty quickly. Plus, it's getting later now, and honestly, I kind of just want to lay in bed and hopefully fall asleep here soon. Don't usually go to bed until 11 o'clock. I'm not that much of an old lady, but still. As I said in my previous update, I'm definitely gonna have to continue this into tomorrow, which means that I probably will be starting on a new audiobook. Most likely gonna be Beard in Hiding. Anyway, like I said, I'm gonna hop into reading Just Like Magic. Here's hoping it continues to make me laugh out loud as much as it was in the first portion of it, because this book is freaking hilarious. This book is definitely, if you took Alexis from Schitt's Creek and mixed her with the prince from Enchanted, but make him Christmas Carol-y. That's like how I'm gonna sell this book. It's so absolutely ridiculous. It's definitely a Hallmark movie to the nth degree, and it knows what it is. It definitely is aware that it is campy as hell, and I love it.
Hey y'all, happy Monday. I currently have this much time left in the readathon. Today, between listening to my audiobook, when I got up, walked Faith, got ready for work, got to work, doing some little tasks around work, and then coming home, I managed to finish Beard in Hiding, which honestly, I really enjoyed this. It's like a 4.5. I think I talked about it before. It actually has a section of that short story Beard in Waiting in this one as well, except from a different perspective, so that was kind of fun. I don't think I quite loved this one as much as the Winston Brothers books proper, but I did still enjoy it. It was pretty cute. The two main characters were very sweet with one another. There were some serious issues tackled in this one also, and we were looking at some more mature characters, which I think was refreshing given that most of these characters are like in their mid to late 20s. It also elaborated a little bit more on the whole plot with the Iron Wraiths, the motorcycle gang that the boys often end up interacting with. Really enjoyed that part. That was a lot of fun, and I'm really intrigued to see where that could possibly go at the end. Along with that one, between last night and then reading on my lunch break today, I actually finished Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle. This book is so absolutely ridiculous, but I was cracking up left and right. There's so much going on in this book, and yet I really enjoyed it. It's definitely incredibly campy. Be aware of that going in. It is so nonsensical at times, so ridiculous. Logic does not work here, but it's so much fun. It's really cute. It's very, very entertaining. I'm gonna have a more comprehensive review for this book in a video coming out closer to Christmas. Now, so I don't have that long left in this readathon, and I honestly can definitely get this done tonight, but I do have some stuff I just like have to get done around the house. I need another audiobook. I think I'm gonna do 𝗖cie and by Brittany Cavallaro. I'm actually gonna be buddy reading this with Kirsten from Kirsten's Corner, and we were supposed to start today. I should probably message her about that. But as soon as I get the chance, I'm actually gonna pick up Hell Followed With Us because I keep saying I'm so excited to read this and yet still have not started it. Hello, had a quick break for dinner. Little quick update. This already has me intrigued. We are seeing from the perspective of James, whatever, he's the Watson, and does not start off on a good foot with Charlotte, and apparently all of the Holmes family is determined to keep up the tradition of having a great detective in the family, and I kind of love that. I mean, I'm sure those are some giant shoes to fill. Also doesn't do well with addiction running in the family, but I'm intrigued, and this total jerk at their school just died and Jamie punched him like the day before he died, trying to stand up for Charlotte. Understandably, those two are probably going to be the biggest suspects. Also, about 30, some odd pages into Hell Followed With Us. Already enjoying it. Definitely very creepy. Super strong on the cult feels. I really like that. Some great gender and sexuality diversity, so love to see that. Anyway, that's it for now. I am going to continue reading. Hey y'all, so it's 10:30 and I have officially read for 24 hours. Crazy. I read 1,767 pages. That's insane. I have a stack of books that I worked through, as well as one audiobook and an additional ebook. In the end, I got about 185 pages of Hell Followed With Us read, and wow. Really enjoying this, which is doubly surprising since it's dystopian and that's just not a genre I vibe with, but the way it is written with a horror focus, so much better for me. I'm really enjoying it. I really like our main character Benji, seeing their struggles between the religion that they have been raised with and what they now believe. It is handled so fantastically. Being in their perspective is very difficult, but at the same time, I can totally understand every single emotion, every turmoil they're going through. Wow, just so good. And then the horror elements, creepy, visceral, really disgusting at times. There have been one or two scenes where I genuinely clenched my entire body in reaction. Oh my lord. The writing style in this definitely reminds me of Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero, where it's the most beautiful, disgusting sort of metaphors utilized, again with the cultish allusions happening consistently because of Benji's upbringing. I'm loving this. We also got a chapter or two from Nick's perspective, who is the leader of the 𝗖cie LGBT youth group that Benji has joined up with, and wow. Also really intrigued there. Nick is actually autistic, and I thought that was very cool, showcasing how he stems and how he actually manages it whilst being the leader of a very diverse and unfortunately not always nice group of people. He puts on such a strong facade. I really liked getting a peek into his brain. That was very interesting. Like I said, I'm really enjoying this across the board. Good. I could actually see this maybe being my favorite book of the month. I also got about 40-ish pages into A Study in Charlotte. We've kind of seen a little bit of Jamie and Charlotte interacting. I can see a friendship developing there, but on the other hand, I don't know, I just don't think the chemistry is as strong as I would like it to be. I mean, I hear people complain about the romance in Truly Devious so much, but honestly, I felt like Stevie and David at least had some good banter going back and forth. There was a little bit of tension that you could feel there. Not really feeling anything in this thus far, but I mean, I'm 40 pages in, so that could change. Hopefully it does. I also got 80-ish pages read of Book of Accidents, still at the halfway point, have not continued any further into this. I need to film an update, which probably honestly won't happen for another 2 days. This is still on the back burner, but I made progress. 51 pages of Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. Continuing to really enjoy this. I'm very excited to pick it up next week for my next 60 pages. And then the books I read to completion. I had Beard in Hiding by Penny Reed. Like I said previously, really enjoyed this one. A little different from the previous books, but still good. Then also Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogel, which still not really sure how I'm possibly going to rate this book, but it was a laugh and a half. The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by 𝗖cie Cordova developed into something I was not anticipating in the second half. Also had a fantastic time. Writing, gorgeous, so freaking beautiful. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, good enough that I actually went to request the next book from NetGalley. Enjoyed this. I understand what all the hype's about. Not my favorite romance ever, but still really good. SpiderGwen by Jason Latour. I am a little bummed that I didn't love this as much as previous issues, but also just excited to continue this series. When it stays true to the original artist's art style, I really love the art. I love the Technicolor. Okay, so this is a very satisfying stack of books to have completed in 24 hours. I am so proud of myself that I actually made it through this entire thing, and I, thank God, caught up on my September TBR. Let's just hope I can actually finish out the rest of it. Alright, y'all, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate it. Make sure to hit like and subscribe down below. I have all my socials linked in the description if you're interested in keeping up with what I am reading. I come out with videos on Monday and Friday, but until then, I hope you continue to have a terrific day. Love you, bye!